Today I'm going to go over some tips for switching from euphonium to baritone. Stay tuned. What's going on, guys? My name's Aaron, helping musicians get better, faster through performances, educational videos, and product reviews. And again, today I'm going over some tips to switch from euphonium to baritone. Now, I want to thank Buffet Crampon USA for having me come out here and shoot this video and letting me use the BE157 that you see in front of you. If you want any more information about this instrument, I'll have a link in the description down below. So I'm here at Buffet Crampon in Jacksonville, Florida with a BE157 Besson baritone. And seeing this horn got me thinking about when I was in graduate school, my first year, I got to play in the brass band at JMU. However, I didn't get to do it on euphonium, I got to do it on baritone for my first year. And what I learned was you cannot approach those two instruments in the same way. So today I'm gonna give you some of the things that I learned when I was transitioning between the two to hopefully make your transition a little bit easier. So my first tip about switching from euphonium to baritone is use the right equipment. So if you're playing baritone, it's kind of the same shape and same idea as euphonium, so you're gonna be tempted to want to use the same mouthpiece and mutes. Don't do that. Make sure you're using the right equipment, especially if you're in a brass band, you're gonna have a bunch of different mute changes and stuff like that. You wanna make sure that it's for this instrument. And especially when it comes to mouthpieces, you might want to go a little bit smaller. Euphonium likes a bigger sound because it kind of functions as an upward tuba, whereas a baritone is functioning as a lower tenor horn. So a little bit of a smaller mouthpiece will help you make that sort of timbre change in your playing. The next tip I want to make is don't try to overflood this instrument with a lot of air. Due to the way it's wrapped, unlike a euphonium, it's actually easy to overblow this if you're used to really pumping in a lot of air into a euphonium. Though the instrument can take a ton of air, what you're gonna notice is a lot more back pressure, so it could cause some like headaches and some other things to not go so well and make your tone spread. So you wanna avoid putting too much air into this instrument. That's not to say don't use tons of air when you're playing this instrument, but if you're feeling a lot of back pressure or if you're forcing it, it's just not going to work. So my next tip is make sure that you approach the baritone differently than the euphonium in terms of your role in the ensemble. The composer is going to use the baritone different than the euphonium, and so when you're playing a baritone part with a baritone, know what instruments you're working with and what kind of sound you're supposed to create to help influence how you approach playing your part. Now, and this might be just generally on how you play like the baritone's role in a brass band, or it might be piece specific. Whatever it is, make sure you know your role and what you're playing. Another tip is make sure that you try to spend as much time as you can on baritone. It was really difficult for me because I was in graduate school and I was taking lessons on euphonium and I was a euphonium major that trying to balance the two instruments was really difficult. So if you're playing brass band and baritone is the instrument that you're on, or you're playing in a community band and you're playing the baritone parts, or whatever the situation might be, if you're playing baritone solely and you don't have to mix and mingle the two instruments, just stick to baritone. That will help your progression and it'll help you get better and use the instrument in the way that it was intended to be used. And then my last tip is actually very simple, but it gets in the way a lot, especially because you're used to the bigger horn. Make sure you're holding the instrument the right way. Because we kind of get lazy with euphonium and we like to put it on our leg, we can sometimes let the instrument start to drip. Don't let that happen. Make sure you're holding this instrument up and you're keeping it upright. Don't let it fall. You're gonna have to actually hold this instrument up. It doesn't have the fail-safe of being able to put it on your leg. No matter how tall or short you are, you have to keep this instrument off of you and away from your body. It's not as big, it's a little bit lighter, but you're still gonna have that old habit that you have with your euphonium. And so my question of the day is actually for those of you who have already made this switch or are about to make this switch, what are some tips that you have that I didn't list in this video that might help others who are making the switch? I know when I switched over, I could have used a lot of help with it and I didn't really know what I was doing, so if we can help others, let us know in the comments down below. And bonus tip, make sure no matter what instrument you're playing, whether it be baritone, euphonium, you're switching to trombone or tuba, whatever you're doing, make sure you're making the best sound that you can make. All the tips that I had earlier in this video are just to help you do that. Make sure you're always creating the best sounds that you can, no matter what you're doing. Again, I want to thank Buffet Crampon USA for letting me film this video here, and I want to thank Besson for letting me use this instrument. If you're interested in more about this instrument, the BE157, there will be a link in the description down below. If you like this video, hit that like button. And remember, I post new videos like this every single week. So if you like this, consider subscribing to get more videos just like this one directly to you. Again, guys, I'm Aaron Campbell, reminding you to be happy, but never satisfied. I'll see you next time.